Hi, this is John Harcher, and welcome to the second part of our special look at the life of Conan the Barbarian, as told in the Numenor Chronicles translated by Robert E. Howard. This time, it's Conan the Mercenary, looking at his time as a warrior selling his sword to the highest bidder. He becomes a general in one country and a pirate in the Western Ocean and in the Inland Sea. He also meets the one woman who would have a hold on his life until the end of his days. Conan's return to Cimmeria was welcomed by his family and friends, and dreaded by others in his tribe. In the years he had been away, his father had gone to meet Crom, but his mother still kept the home. After a few months, Conan began to hear of troubled times in the central countries, and left to see for himself what was going on. Koth's king, Strabonus, was looking to expand his kingdom and amassed an army of mercenaries to harass the smaller countries between it and Turan. On the outskirts of the Corinthian frontier near Zamora, Conan signed on with a band of soldiers looking to join up with the Kothian army. But when their leader offered his price for his men, the king adamantly refused. They left and sought to prove their worth by taking on a contingent of Turanians near the town of Yarlet. But Turan had enlisted the help of the Hyrcanians and their renowned corps of archers. The battle ended disastrously, with Conan being the only survivor of the massacre. He blamed not the enemy, but Strabonus' miserly ways. He never forgot this slight. The chronicles do not say what happened after the battle. There are tales of Conan rescuing a young girl and taking her to Yarlet, where the high priest Attalus and Prince Than feared a talisman called the Hand of Nergal. All that is known is from there, Conan joined up with the Turanians and spent time with the Hyrcanian archers, learning the skill himself. But he soon tired of their strident ways and deserted on an excursion in the mountains, battling a strange tribe of creatures. There are legends of Conan taking part in the so-called Siege of Makalet and meeting up with one of the greatest swordsmen of the era, or should we say, swordswomen. Her story is an epic a tale as Conan's, and is told in another section of the Chronicles. If you search for adventure, her story should be read. Conan soon joined the Corinthian army and took part in its defenses against Koth. He ended up in the band led by the famed Numidian mercenary leader Amalric the Bold. There soon came word the Ophirians, spurred on by Koth, took prisoner Kossus, the young king of the small city-state of Karaja, leaving his sister Yasmila as regent. At the same time, a desert chief named Natok was amassing hordes of warriors and threatening invasion. Desperate for help, the princess went to the temple of Mitra and prayed for his protection. The legend says the god told her to stop the first man she meets, and he will be her savior. Departing the temple, she ran into Conan leaving a tavern. She brought him to her council and told him he would lead their army against the desert horde. Conan and the forces of Karaja met Natok's desert army at Shamla Pass. The two motley armies battled for over a day. The desert forces were led by the Turanian prince Kudaman. It is said Natok had entranced him into his service, but he was known to love conflict more than anything else in the world. He met Conan, and the two fought hand-to-hand in a legendary battle before the Cimmerian was able to drive his dagger into his antagonist until he was dead. He then confronted Natok and rescued the princess. Some legends say Natok was in reality the revived sorcerer Thugur Khotan of Kuchmenes. The famed thief Esau is said to have found Shevatas in the ruins of the city and recognized Natok's face on an ancient coin he found on the dead thief's body. But it is only one tale. Conan prepared to mount a rescue mission for the king, but before they could march to Ophir, the king was returned thanks to Strabonus' estranged son Almeric. He paid the ransom, and in return he only asked for the princess's hand in marriage. Though Yasmila had grown fond of the barbarian, the politics of state took precedent. But Conan bore no ill will towards the Kothian prince. In fact, he swore his loyalty to him and his new wife, and only asked for the best armor they could offer. Word was Argos was in turmoil, and the Cimmerian knew this would be his next adventure. Conan's battles in Argos were numerous but otherwise uneventful. However, one night in a tavern in the port city of Mezantia, he drank among his fellow soldiers and befriended one of them, a young man whose name has been lost in the mists of time. He was fond of one of the servers at the tavern, and she returned his affection. A captain of the king's guard wanted her for himself, and the two battled, with the younger man eventually running the captain through with his sword. He and the girl escaped, never to be seen again. In the morning, the authorities came for an investigation. It was said Conan was seen with the young man and was taken to court. During the hearing, Conan was falsely accused of many things by the judge, so before he could render his sentence, the Cimmerian pulled his sword and cleaved the magistrate's head in two. He dashed out of court, leapt onto a nearby horse, and raced for the docks. Seeing only one chance to escape the Argosian officials, he jumped onto a departing ship, the Argus. Out at sea, the Argus was attacked by the feared pirate ship with a dragon on its prow, the Tigris, and her infamous captain, Belit. She was said to have been a Shemitist princess whose father was in danger, so she was sent away with a trusted advisor from the southern countries. Her exploits were so numerous, she had been given the title Queen of the Black Coast. Her men attacked the Argus, wiping out all on the ship save Conan. She so admired the way he fought and his will to live, she performed for him the fabled mating dance of Ascalon. The two became partners on deck and in the cabin. She devised the plans, he executed them with barbaric efficiency. His ruthlessness and savagery earned him the nickname Amro the Lion. Their passion for each other was so intense, Belit swore that even if she should die before him, she would battle beside him beyond the grave if he were ever in danger. The duo spent 3 years plundering the southern coasts. Among their most daring feats were the burning of the Stygian fleet at Kemi and the destruction of the small kingdom of Abambi. They were able to keep themselves supplied thanks to the underworld banker Publio and his covert dealings. They were thought to be invincible. That veneer, however, was pierced when they traveled up the haunted Zarkiba River in search of a fabled but cursed treasure. On the way to the temple where the jewels were said to be, a giant snake killed several boatmen. Once they found the treasure, a strange affliction overcame most of the men, causing them to turn on one another. Belit herself became transfixed and could focus on nothing but the jewels. Conan left her to find one of their most trusted crewmen, but he was forced to kill him due to the evil that had taken hold in the sailor. When Conan returned to the Tigris, he found Belit hanging from the yardarm by one of the necklaces they'd stolen. The Cimmerian took shelter in the temple, awaiting whatever demon killed his beloved. At first he was attacked by a band of jackals but fought them off. Then the demon showed itself, a giant winged ape. He attacked the barbarian who fought a pitched battle against it, but a tower of stone fell on him, trapping him as the demon approached. Suddenly it stopped and shrieked in fear, giving Conan time to free himself and kill it. He swore what caused the demon's fear was Belit herself, battling at his side from beyond the grave as she had promised him. But who can say whether or not it was true? Conan set the Queen of the Black Coast on board her ship, loosed it into the bay, and launched flaming arrows into it, giving her a funeral pyre and proper burial. At the time Belit had sworn herself to him, even from beyond the grave, Conan gave his own philosophy of life. Let teachers, priests, and philosophers brood over the question of reality and illusion. I know this. If life is an illusion, then I am no less an illusion, and being thus, the illusion is real to me. I burn with life. I live, I love, I slay, and I am content. From that day forward, Conan rarely spoke of her, and no one mentioned her name to him. In his time as king, he retold the tale of his time with her to his scribe, some have named as Pramis. The scribe then wrote a poem he recited to the king once without a name, but one that has become known as a Song of Belit. Believe green buds awaken in the spring, that autumn paints the leaves with somber fire. Believe I held my heart inviolate, to lavish on one man my hot desire. In the dead citadel of crumbling stone, her eyes were snared by that unholy sheen, and Carrion's madness took me by the throat, as a rival lover thrust between. Was it a dream the nighted lotus brought? Then cursed the dream that bought my sluggish life, and crushed each laggard hour that does not set. Hot blood dripped blackly from the crimson knife. The shadows were black around him, the dripping jaws gaped wide. Thicker than ruin the red drops fell, but my love was fiercer, than death's black spell, nor the iron walls of hell could keep me from his side. Now we are done with roaming evermore, no more the oars the windy harps refrain, nor crimson pennon frights the dusky shore. Blue girdle of the world, receive again she that whom gavest me. Conan made his way from the coast to Kush and its capital of Shambhala. The princess Tananda was in conflict with a sorcerer who used a demon to kill her guards one by one. As she rode through town, she was attacked by the crowd and was rescued by the newly arrived barbarian. She immediately made him captain of the guard. The chronicles only say Conan departed soon after, but other legends had him rescue a Numidian maid kept captive and battled with the demon till death. What is clear is that the king was soon deposed, and his sister as well as the sorcerer were dead. After bringing the girl, who some writings named Diana, back north, Conan heard his old friend Almaric was openly battling his father and had enlisted a motley band of rogues known as the Free Companions as part of his personal army. Conan joined them on the southern plains of Cimmeria and Turan and soon became well known among them. However, as they prepared for an attack on Korshemish, capital of Koth, word spread that Serbonus had made peace with his wayward son. Some say he threatened Almaric's wife's homeland of Karaja with invasion, but in any case the prince disbanded his army and left them with no employment. The band then set about with their plan to plunder and made the borderlands of Koth, Zamora, and Turan unsafe for any to travel. They eventually became known under the name of the Bandits of the Steppes, Kozaki. At the insistence of his son Yezdegerd, Yildiz, the king of Turan, decided to put an end to the outlaws once and for all. He sent Shah Amurath to take his army and trap the bandits by the Ilbars River. The plan worked to perfection as the rogues were trapped against the shore and slaughtered by the thousands. But today the battle came with a complication. Olivia, a princess of Ophir, had been a slave in Shah Amurath's house. As he returned home in triumph and celebrated his victory, she escaped and headed into the marshes. When he learned of her escape, Amurath followed. He caught her among the reeds, but the two were soon confronted by a battered and bloodied Conan, lone survivor of the battle. The Shah thought he would have the advantage being fresh and rested, but the Cimmerian proved to be the stronger and hacked the Turanian to death. Finding a boat among the reeds, Conan and Olivia set out onto the Indian Vilayet Sea. The two ended up on an island in the middle of the sea. Out in the middle of the forest, something attacked them, so they looked for safety. In the center of the island was a temple filled with iron statues. They spent a sleepless night there before they were awakened by pirates who docked their ship nearby. Conan went out to meet with them and recognized some of them as free companions who did not join in the battle against Shah Amurath. They were led by Sergius of Koth, who clashed with Conan in the days before Almaric made peace. However, the two outlaws never did and went to settle matters right then. Conan defeated the gigantic pirate but was knocked out by one of his men. This caused a split between them, with Ivanos leading men back to their ship and the others heading to the temple. During a storm, the men who went to the temple were heard screaming for their lives. Olivia swore she had a dream where the statues were savages from a long ago era punished by the gods. Whatever they were, the pirates all ended up dead. Conan and Olivia made their way to the coast when a giant ape stood in their way. It was this creature who threatened them the night before. After a pitched battle, Conan slew the beast. They made their way to the boat where Ivanos offered leadership to the Cimmerian. With that, he swore he'd take his revenge against the Turanian king. The chronicles do not say whether he made good on his pledge, nor how his time among the Vilayet pirates ended. What is known is Yildiz did not survive the year, and his son Yezdegerd took over the throne. Here ends this section of the Chronicles of Conan of Cimmeria. The tales described in this part of the Chronicles are fully told in Black Colossus, Queen of the Black Coast, and Iron Shadows in the Moon. The full tales of what happened in Yarlet and Shambhala are not contained here, but other writers have told those stories. In the next section of the Median Chronicles, Conan goes from a captain of the guard to a desert chieftain, discovers a lost city, and returns to the east once more to lead an outlaw horde. That's next time on Valleys of Numenor. Thank you for listening.